Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mark Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches with our executive director. Mark, when this podcast drops into emails, you will be at uh, a retreat with the leadership team, but also with the regional leaders. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Ben, because next week, which this will be, the retreat will start on Monday, February 5th, is a leadership team retreat. And for about 3 or 4 years now, we've been inviting regional leaders to that retreat, the first half of the retreat. So the regional leaders are with us from Monday, February 5th through about noon on Wednesday, the 7th. And then the leadership team is there until Friday. And it's such an important strategic retreat. We've done this, I think, 3 or 4 years now. Initially, we did it where we had the regional leaders join us in June, and they gave us really good input. They loved the retreat. They said, "Could we do that the first retreat of the year?" Because what it does is it helps us inform how we might want to lead through our regional assembly of elders. So that's why we do it in February. As a leadership team, and we invite our regional leaders in. You might remember, listen to the podcast last year. We also had our global leaders join us. We'll probably
Yes.
do that every few years, but this year it's just the 9 U.S. regional leaders that will join us. And it's such an important time because we believe these men are really the front line of leadership in Sovereign Grace as they lead each of their regions, and then to collectively help us lead Sovereign Grace together and forward in mission. And we just thank God for these regional leaders and want to not only invest into them, we want to encourage them and pray for them. And so we just got a time mapped out with them that we've thought through. The first part of the retreat is just taking time to get updates from every regional leader about their region. And that's very important to us because we learn a lot as a leadership team about how our churches and our pastors are doing. But we also learn a lot from our regional leaders about how we can serve our churches better. So we just have some long conversation blocked out for those updates. And as a leadership team, we always look forward to that. And then we've got 3 topics chosen that are in a short teaching, long Q&A discussion format. And those 3 topics are a reflection of some of the things I'm carrying as the executive director and the leadership team is carrying. Just burdens are on our heart for this year. Some of them actually I mentioned in the State of the Union. So we've got a session related to leading toward encouragement.
Oh,
As I
great.
mentioned, the State of the Union, I think it's an area that we've gotten weaker in recently as a family of churches. So just growing in
Mm.
encouragement. So Jared Mellinger is going to do a short teaching on encouragement. And then we've got some questions we just want to kick around with the regional leaders. The next one is a focus on godliness. We want to build Christ-like churches. I mentioned that in my State of the Union. So leading toward godliness. And then a Q&A after that, that John and I will lead through. And really the purpose of that is to make sure that the cultural pressures we face that can locate responsibility for our actions outside of us don't impinge upon the church, and
Mm.
that we continue to see the fact that indwelling sin still remains and we need the grace of God to transform us. That's kind of in a nutshell a little bit what we want to talk about there. We also want to be aware of sort of a therapeutic influence. You might call it the new therapeutic influence, which has more of an expressive individualism component
Right.
in it than it did maybe back in the late 90s, for example. So we'll kick that around. And then we've got a session entitled Leading Toward the Future. And Jeff Purswell is going to talk about leading into pastoral equipping. And as I mentioned, both in the main session and at the State of the Union, we've got guys, about half our pastors in their 50s and 60s, and we just want to prepare for that transition
Right.
that's coming up. So it's really recruiting and sending men to the pastors college, and just a little bit how you do that, and then just a Q&A discussion. So those are the sessions that we have planned with the guys, along with updates, and we're really excited about our time with them. And so if you would pray for each of our regional leaders here in the States and for our time together, that would just be very, very helpful.
Yeah, I just thank God for the gift of leadership that we've enjoyed historically in Sovereign Grace, and that I know the leadership team and our regional leaders, you guys take your work seriously. It's wonderful to hear about the kinds of topics you'll be discussing, but also that you'll be building even deeper relationally by doing it in a retreat atmosphere. But they are leaving on Wednesday, and the leadership team remains for a few more days for you guys to go over some things. What's going to happen when the leadership team is meeting together?
Yeah, some of the things that I have planned, I always have more on an agenda than we typically have time to get to, but some of the things I
Right.
have planned that the leadership team has been thinking about is coming prepared to discuss. There's a session where I've just got, it's entitled Sovereign Grace Vulnerabilities. So just kind of thinking through where our churches might be vulnerable theologically, vulnerable to the culture, and just trying to identify those so that we're keeping an eye on that and figuring out how do we lead in such a way that serves our pastors as they serve their churches in really protecting their flock and really being aware of those vulnerabilities. And I've got that scheduled before we plan the pastors conference because maybe there's something that emerges out of that conversation that might inform either a breakout session topic or a main session topic that we want to talk about at the pastors conference. But we do plan to plan not just the 2024 pastors conference. We hope to plan the 2025 conference because in 2025, as I announced at the pastors conference last year, that is going to be a pastors and leaders conference
Right.
where we're encouraging our churches to bring all of your leaders, bring any members you want to bring, those that are not only, small group leaders and deacons and ministry team leaders, but also those you might be developing for leadership. And we want to broaden that. And we think the theme of that, we've got to sort of maybe even choose first before thinking about the theme of 2024, because we really want to serve our churches with the extra leaders that'll be there in 2025. So we'll plan the pastors conference. We need wisdom for that, just not in terms of themes, but topics for main sessions and breakout sessions. Jared is going to give a publishing update, which I'm really excited about. And then I've got Rich giving a Latin America update. And I just want to talk to the team just a little bit about, well, actually, we've got a session just about the broad application of our shaping virtues, something that Jared would like to discuss, which I think is really good. Just we have these shaping virtues. How do they continue to affect our churches? How do we continue to model them as pastors? Sort of a conversation. So that's basically the plan that we have. As you mentioned, we take our work seriously, but we have a lot of fun in what we do. There will be a lot of laughter with the regional leaders, a lot of laughter with the leadership team guys. These men, for me, not just the leadership team, but the regional leaders, they're just men I just love working with. And I can't wait to see them next week. And so if you're listening to this as it comes into your inbox Monday, or maybe you're listening to it on Tuesday, thank you so much for praying.
We will be praying for you guys as you sacrifice your time and with your church and your family as you serve us. Thank you so much to our excellent regional leaders and to our excellent leadership team. We thank God for you. And thank you for the updates, Mark. We'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.